if you want to really accelerate, it's all about finding these little innovative companies which are driving innovation, and how do we leverage them to be able to drive it.
Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. Our broadcast today features a panel from our Meta Strategy Summit held on October 29th. The conversation explored the expanding innovation ecosystem, and our panelists who joined us were Rashmi Kumar, the Chief Information Officer of Medtronic, and Damu Bashyam, the Chief Information and Innovation Officer of Berkadia. The session was moderated by Meta Strategy Co-Head of Research Media and Executive Networks, Stephen Norton. I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about expanding innovation ecosystems, and I think we'll touch on a lot of what's been discussed before, but just continue to build on the ways in which accessibility to Gen AI and other technologies are broadening what it means to innovate and who's involved in that innovation. So I'm really excited to introduce this panel today. To my right, Damu Bashyam, he's the Chief Information and Innovation Officer at Berkadia. It's a commercial real estate services firm that covers mortgage banking, investment sales, and loan servicing. And he actually oversees the innovation function within Berkadia. So excited to dig into exactly what that means. Prior to joining Berkadia, he was the Chief Information and Digital Officer at Columbia Bank, and he was the CTO of Consumer Banking for JP Morgan, and he's on the board of Goodwill Industries of New York and Northern New Jersey. Damu, welcome.
Thanks.
At the far end, we have Rashmi Kumar, CIO of Medtronic, manufacturer of healthcare technology solutions. She joined at the end of 2022. Prior to joining Medtronic, she was at HP Enterprise, has a history at McKesson, Southern California Edison, and others. She's on the board of Myriad Genetics. Welcome, Rashmi.
Thank you.
So we talked a bit at the beginning about the ways in which these technologies are opening up who is able to really participate in innovation. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what that expansion looks like and how you think about harnessing it.
Making even the jobs that people think is not about innovation, innovative. Right. So I'll talk about age-old IT operations, which I know each one of you care about, but driving that mindset to say, hey, and we have outsourced enough the operations piece. So it seems like it's somebody else's business, but how do we still create energy within our organizations, either IT or others, because operations is everywhere, that there is innovation that you can bring in. And it's not only about delivering 4.9 SLA, but it's also about cost. It's also about recovery. And when I got in at Medtronic, I took that as the first thing because we were having disruptions in our business because of IT disruptions, and it was seen as somebody else's problem. I would say I would not define every step of it, but we created a reward program, we created teams, we found the smartest leader to go solve operations issues. And I would say the biggest proof in the pudding was when CrowdStrike hit, right? Our start to finish recovery time for that scale was 20 hours. Next day by 6 p.m., every business was up. And it meant for us to send people on foot to our manufacturing centers, which are 70 of those, to switch on servers by hand. But we were able to do it. So I'm just using it as an example of being innovative in the most non-cool, non-sexy space and the results that it bring, right? And then definitely when we talk about innovation in the products that we sell, this has been kind of the proudest moment for me when I get to go to our manufacturing centers. How do we make heart valves or how do we make pacemakers? It's about, our CEO calls it putting tech in med tech. Now we have pacemakers which communicates data to the patient, to the caregiver, to the providers. We have diabetes devices. We have GI Genius, our colonoscopy device, which recognizes polyps because of use of Gen AI in imaging better than a GI surgeon or a GI expert. We are becoming all about imaging, navigation, and then devices. So technology and innovation is becoming first, and the real devices that we used to make as engineers are becoming as critical, but more critical is how do we provide imaging, how do we provide navigation in the body, and enabled by the devices, physical devices that we built to go in there. It's been really exciting from innovation perspective for even IT organization, because we provide, to your point, all the platforms and the products that our product teams can innovate upon.
Amazing. The context matters and differs so much from organization to organization, but I love how you built on it and that you have to make innovation everyone's business in some ways. Like you might take different approaches, but part of this job is really making sure that people, no matter what the job they're doing, feel that they can run with it. Damu, I'd love to turn it to you. So as I mentioned before, you oversee the innovation function at Berkadia. Could you tell us a little bit about how that works, what's involved in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, first of all. We call innovation because we have all the product, engineering, data, everybody together. So we just came up with a cool name. So how we go about and innovate within Berkadia is we kind of take a two-pronged approach here. If we look at Berkadia as a business, we are at the intersection of the fintech and proptech, because most of our clients are owners and operators of big properties, investors and developers, etc. We got to make sure that we not only focus on just financial services, we also need to understand what our clients are interested about. So they are kind of interested in managing their properties efficiently, effectively, etc. So if you look at that way, there are like over 10,000 proptechs, and I hear that over 26,000 fintechs. That number probably will be doubling with the introduction of Gen AI. So how do we kind of stay at the forefront of that innovation? So which is where like we take a two-pronged approach. What I mean there is like a bottom-up and top-down approach. Bottom-up approach, the way I look at it, is mostly focusing on internal ecosystems. That, I have a product organization, their primary responsibility is like what we heard from the panel here. In a traditional way, they engage with the business day to day and understand the business needs and business challenges, make sure that, we proactively identify the opportunities, how tech can solve the problems, and we create the products and services and deploy and make sure that they're being adopted and we drive the value that way. So when I look at from external ecosystem perspective, this is where I look at the top down and how do we kind of stay at the forefront of what is happening in the marketplace. There's so much of investments, going into all these, fintechs and proptechs, and it's really not feasible for us to go and make that sort of investments, right? So this is where like we have a program called Startup Accelerator program. We name that as a Be Engaged program. So through this program, we kind of screen the market, the thousands of, these tech companies out there, and then we select about 100 each year, and we engage them in a meaningful way to kind of understand if there is a mutual benefit, and we can collaborate with them, we can partner with them within that ecosystem. So then we select about a dozen or so, and who we either partner and integrate with our ecosystem, or we just invest. In some cases, we purchase and integrate into broader ecosystem. So the benefit for them is like we provide advisory services, we provide capital, we also engage them with the venture capitalist, for example. So we do all of that, and that's the benefit for them. And we also engage with the industry experts, like whether the business leaders or technology leaders, like they want to kind of nurture their startups and grow. And that's one way we kind of stay at the forefront and make sure that we understand what's happening in our industry and around us, and we select a few and go through that process. And this is how we balance like both from internal and external partnership and innovation perspective, which is really working out very well for us.
Yeah, and really leveraging the ability to be a connector for all of those startups. That's amazing.
Right.
Excellent. Rashmi, I'd like to get into the how a little bit. We've talked a bit about the Hyperautomation Center of Excellence, which covers a broad range of technologies, including a lot of AI. Could you talk a bit about how that came together and why you chose hyperautomation?
Yeah, and a lot of CIOs and the leaders here have talked about it. So the model we took is as the Gen AI started kind of gaining momentum a couple of years ago, all of us realized that there is enough AI ML still to do. There is enough RPA to be used alongside the Gen AI capabilities. So all these are, somebody said, thank God this came up, so we stopped talking metaverse. I am like, thank God metaverse came up, we stopped talking blockchain. So is it one of those we will say thank God, or it is really making the difference in how we move forward? So we created a Hyperautomation Center of Excellence. We in IT brought teams together. We are in healthcare and medtech. So privacy, security, all those are extremely critical. So we had people from every group, from medical and regulatory, from the privacy and legal team, from customer service team to different technology teams in business. And we decided to go hub and spoke model because we didn't want to kind of part the innovation because there is a central team only which can do that part. So we created a hub and spoke model. And I just was on call this morning where we decided to do a steering committee in hubs also. The challenge with companies like ours, which I've been to many of those, is the moment you talk efficiency, leaders' mind goes towards FTE savings. And how do you tell them that, no, it's really about innovation. It's really about giving you the tools so that you can run your business more efficiently, you can innovate better. And that's where this hub and spoke models have worked well for us. So there are a few things, as you talked about, is the platform, the data. How do we engage with which partners? Those are kind of a centrally managed areas. But what use cases we pick up? How do we create a value realization for that group? How do we drive value as well as the steering committee? Our challenge is we have 18 operating units and 73 therapies. Definitely, we are guiding them around those three areas because it's becoming about how do we do anatomical access in a human body? It's either heart or kidney or brain. How do we provide imaging for that access in real time? And then how do we do devices? If you look at our company and our strategy across these 73 therapies and 18 operating units, these are the three common areas where our products are innovating. So how do we give them capabilities and tools where they can leverage it? And somebody else talked about AI in product and AI in our operations. So the other part of it is, what are the opportunity in global operations supply chain around computer vision and AVI in manufacturing centers, better inventory management, better forecasting, in IT, better operations and understanding where we are going. I can go on, but those are the various spokes where we enable these capabilities through hub. And one of my goal KPI was training 2,000 people on Gen AI, hyperautomation. We have overachieved to be 3,000. It was Q2 by this week, so that we see more momentum in the hyperautomation space across the company.
Oh, that's a tremendous complexity, and being able to build the platform capabilities to serve those is amazing.
I talked about GI Genius, right? So if you go for a colonoscopy today, which is regular, it's Olympus Pro, and the doctor looks at the wall by his eyes. We partnered with a company called Cosmo in Italy and built a product called GI Genius. So they had partnership with NVIDIA for all the GPU they need for image analysis. And we have proven that getting a colonoscopy through GI Genius is way better compared to the doctor, while it catches polyps better, faster. That would have taken 2 more rounds of colonoscopy to figure out. And it was all partnerships with Cosmo. They built that image model and we brought it to, we have pill cam, which people swallow for all the endoscopy stuff for the GI. And we were in the process of building pill cam for colon, which we stopped because liquid biopsy is getting better for cancer treatment and diagnosis and treatment. So there was no point doing investment in a pill cam for colon. We decided to go with the partner instead, right? So this was the foresight. Other one is in the cardiac space. If you're fortunate to figure out some calcification in your arteries because you went through a CT, cardiac CT, or unfortunate to figure it out through an incident in your life, when doctors map all the arteries, and I had a close family member go through it, so I know a little bit more closely, if there is calcification, then they put 2 devices again in the heart to figure out the flow differential before and after the calcification on the artery. And if the differential is more than 0.75, less than 0.75, then you need to go through a stenting process or ballooning process, which again, we make products for. But we are partner It's an Israeli company with an Iranian CEO, and it's called Cathword. And it, through image recognition, is doing better production of FFR compared to the probes that doctors have to put in the arteries. And this is another example of the startup partnership to be able to say, how do we develop our products better? Because the R&D process that you mentioned in pharma, and we have pretty similar in medtech, works. But if you want to really accelerate, it's all about finding these little innovative companies which are driving innovation, and how do we leverage them to be able to drive it.
It's for the real tangible value that's coming from it. Damu, I'd love to hear about the way that it's coming to life at Berkadia.
When it comes to the product, it's really not a one-size-fits-all approach. And it really varies depending on the industry you are in and the maturity of your company and where you want to play. While underlying theme is solving the problems, and we call that as an innovation. So again, with the introduction of Gen AI, like you see that every company, everybody want to just stay in front of that and jumping on that bandwagon. So how are we really adding value to the business? So you kind of touched on that. We cannot just go after every experiment and kind of say, you throw resources at it and we just cannot sustain. The way we are approaching that is, number one, organizational need to be really ready for a change. You need to ready to adapt to the change. Number two, your culture and your people. So that's really critical. So what we have done to kind of address, for example, the Gen AI implementation to create new products, leveraging that technology, we formed an AI council. And this council, not only just the technology teams, it includes all the business partners across all the lines of businesses, and it includes our HR, legal, risk, compliance, everybody. So we are coming up with a charter like where you really want to focus on, how are you going to really add value, what problems are you really solving for the business. And we're making sure that our business partners are fully committed, engaged, and there is a joint ownership and joint goals that we are really focusing on prioritizing the initiatives which really make sense to add value. Otherwise, you will go after everything and you're going to make those experiments, and you might not really see a value at the end of the day. So that's how we are approaching to make it easy, and which is how we have prioritized, implemented several of the Gen AI use cases, leveraging our data ecosystem, which is really our bread and butter around our data, and that's how we differentiate in our place. It is now coming to the fruition, and we started leveraging those capabilities.
As you start implementing some of those things, could you talk a bit about some challenges that you faced and maybe how you're navigating those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you introduce some new technology, the challenge is, number one, as I mentioned, as an organization, are you ready to adapt to the change? How do you kind of bring everybody? And the training and education is really important. And how do you bring along your teams together as you introduce these new capabilities? That becomes really super critical for us. So which is why, we are bringing everybody together, make them accountable part of this journey. And also make sure that, we as a technologist, we just kind of stay away and just deliver something and expect them to work. And it doesn't work that way. So culturally, you got to be there, you need to be a business leader first. And, other panels touched on this. And be the business. And you need to be a business leader. Then you are a functional leader. And that's how you need to approach. And so that's the philosophy. And that's what we embrace within and across the organization. And my team, that's the goal. Don't operate in silos. Let us make sure that we engage day to day and try to understand what problems they're facing and how do we kind of help them address those challenges.
So we've talked quite a bit about the importance of driving an innovation mindset across the organization, but with the time that we have left, I'd love to hear from each of you about how you cultivate that innovative mindset in yourself. A conversation that we've had with many CIOs over the last couple of months, especially when it comes to AI, is how should I be spending my time on this? And so I'm just curious, as you think about all of the information that's out there and all that there is to learn, how are you approaching that, and how are you filtering all that information to make sure that it's delivering the value it needs for you?
That's a great question. I would say I have two sons who both work in the data science AI space, so a lot of conversations, like I have to pick up tidbits because I do get shamed by them from time to time that, what, you're CIO and you don't know about this. So I'm okay with it because that kind of triggers to go learn about something new. Really, that reverse mentoring part in the office also works. So when Reid Hoffman posted his AI double, I did take that video and sent it to one of my team members in the AI team. I was like, hey, can you do my next town hall for me? And he sent me the steps of how it is not easy and how much resources it takes to build it, but kind of keeping your own team on the toes. And the biggest part of it is the combination that everybody mentions about business and IT. How are you a business leader, showing up as business leader, challenging others to be able to think through these so that I get more challenging assignments to go solve for, which I need to learn myself.
Yeah, no, I agree with Rashmi that you need to adopt a growth mindset here. And we know that technology is changing so fast and you got to keep up with the change. The only way you can do that, you need to be a continuous learner and you engage internally, understand what's happening at the ground level, and you grasp a lot of that information and figure out what you need to learn and how you can contribute. And then externally, and of course, the peer connects like this, you learn a lot. And today is a perfect example and what's happening across different industries. And also, I spend time with a good group of people, the practitioners across the different industries, and we exchange ideas and brainstorm. And that's the other source of, the information I try to stay on top of. So, if you are as technologist, then you're everything. We heard from all the panels, your business, your technology, your everything, you are the glue for the business. So you got to make sure that, you keep up with all of those.
Well, thank you so much for a wonderful conversation. Appreciate it.